Hello and happy Monday to everybody. I didn't do kind of a recap video on Saturday because I kind of wore myself out. So Monday afternoon, finished up with work early because it's so dry down here in Florida for whatever reason. But I wanted to go ahead and just share with you what we did get accomplished on Saturday. So we got all of our wires, coil packs cleaned up and hooked up. All the wires are on there. Everything's good to go. We got our oil dipstick in. We got the headers on there. Hopefully that's right. You can see down there. You look close enough. We got the O2 sensors in. We've got the cross member on. We need to put some clamps on the headers. Hopefully that works out. We'll find out. Let's see what else. I think all we have left to do today is I need to mount up our transmission line here. I did use two of the little mounts here to put in where this fits. I'm going to cut two of these and maybe just one, and then attach it here, drill a hole here, and so forth. And then we need to do, let's see, a radiator, and need to do power steering, pump module, that can, the whole unit, and then get that attached, get the rest of the wiring harness connected over there. We need to do heater hoses and run our other transmission line to the radiator, then up front, because I think we need to cut some of this material or run it up here. Might be what we need to do. Get all that set up. And then for startup, let me read my list I put together for startup. We do need to lift the rear so that we can run through the gears for a fresh transmission without any issues. We need to add 5 quarts of fluid to the transmission so we don't start it dry. We put a little bit in the torque converter, but we need more in. And then farewell to those journeying abroad. Bye-bye to Ant on the Move. And then 2 quarts, we need to add a couple more quarts of oil to the engine. I probably need to run that oil cooler line first, so we're probably going to lose a little bit, and then run that. So we'll get the we get our power steering pump there in first, and then run our line to the new radiator. We'll clean out all that mess. What else? Top off power steering, and then we're not going to put the plugs or wires on yet. We're going to crank it over in neutral, and that'll be a good way to build up oil pressure, bleed the system here as well, so that will really help us out in a bunch of ways. We'll be able to bleed the power steering. We'll crank over, and that should pull transmission fluid in. We should be able to build up some oil pressure as well, and we'll do that about 2 or 3 times. Fuel pump relay will not be connected. We don't want it to start. We just want it to crank over. We don't want to wash it out with fuel. So yeah, not really that much, but it still feels a little bit daunting. It's not that big of a deal, I know, but we're just so excited. I was watching videos yesterday afternoon. Here in the new C8, Street Speed 717, guy's new exhaust on there, and listening to that, it's like, oh, I want to start this up so bad. And here with the headers were like, but I really did need to take a day of rest yesterday. Watched church online and so forth, like a lot of people did. Because of quarantine and everything. Here, this is my special air intake here, ram air. I need to glue that because this elbow comes out to right here, and it's supposed to pull in cold air. So, but I need to glue this back in. We got a hole cut in the original box, and then it just comes up to a Spectre air filter. So alright, I'm kind of excited. Let's get to work, see what happens. Alright everybody, so we're making progress. Really happy to see this. We got alternator on, power steering pump on, got lined up there, everything. Went ahead and put a bolt-on clamp there instead of a conventional. We got our drive belt, electric fan belt, and that installed, got our power hooked up. May need to, with the fans, may need to go up to a larger gauge wire. I've read that was a good thing, just to help with the load from the fans. And since we're in Florida, we're going to use the daylights out of those fans. The original condenser looks pretty good. I went ahead and thought, it's like, well, let me take some compressed air. You would not believe how much dust is in there. What I really need to do is just rinse it out too and see if that helps. But I was surprised. But I never tested these fans, and I'm sure they were never used, but I never did test them. So here you go. Got it kind of set up here with our alligator clips. Pretty cool, huh? So hopefully that'll do the trick. If you know the stock size fans, they are a little bit bigger with fewer blades but bigger blades. So hopefully this will do the trick for us. I really hope so. If not, I was telling my sister, if not, it's still not that terrible deal, because we could just zip these welds, get the stock fans and go from there. So worst case scenario, and then we've still got a good deal on our fans here. So nothing really to complain about. But I'm going to stick these in and we'll go from there. Alright, so this is a note on putting the fans in. What I noticed was that with these the foot mounts for the lower portion, you need to modify this little edge here so that the aluminum foot, at least for this fan, can slide forwards. Because if not, what happens is that this sets up a little bit too high and won't slide through here correctly. And especially on these mounts, you see how it slides there fine. Before it was not. Now the height seems to be just fine, because this portion here is going down into this tray here, so that's not going to bother you. What the issue is being able to cut this out a little bit so that your little foot can come out this way. So I'm going to put this one in on this side and we'll see what it looks like. Alrighty, so we got it in. You had to use a little bit of elbow grease just to really kind of smash it in. And here's our fitment right there. You see this angle right here kind of slides in pretty, it's a tight squeeze. But you'll notice that it's right there on that edge. It's not touching our tanks. That one's a little bit better. This one's right on, actually. So I might be able to shimmy it back and forth a little bit to help. But thankfully those feet are rubber too, so I kind of just press down to see if that would help with any. So, but we'll see. I'm liking it so far. There are a couple little bolt holes down here, and I forget what this is holding. I forget what that is. I need to put a washer, but there's a bolt that comes up here. I put a couple pieces of rubber down here just to protect that, since it seems to fit a little bit lower. So got that for the moment. Got our wires here. Harness might come in today, I believe. So we'll see how that goes. You can see though, if I do need to go with a different fan setup, if this isn't enough, it does have the feet welded in here to fit the stock fans. And then we got our bolts here for that to fit. So I don't think we have any issue here. And with this bolted in correctly, we can just slide our bolt there and drive it in. This side I'm going to play with a little bit, just because we've got a little bit of a gap there. I might be able to pull this in and it should be fine. So, but that's what I found so far. See if I can pull it. That just kind of pulled it out. So, but anyways, this is a 4-core, if I believe. So it's a wide. It is a wide sun. So I think hopefully that'll do the trick. $150. I think they go for close to 400. We will see if it's worth it. So I think it will be. We'll give it a try and see how it works. I'm going to line up our hoses, going to set up the transmission lines, and go from there. But yes, liking it so far. So I might be able to just thinking about it, I might be able to take like a grinder and grind that corner down to get it to fit correctly. So if I found out I can do that, I'll let you know. Alrighty, everybody, we're really close. We got our trans cooler on there. That worked out pretty nice, almost just original. It's an aftermarket one, but the dimensions line up well with the stock. We're going to go ahead and see if we can get a gallon of water and then a gallon of coolant in here before we start cranking them over. Alrighty. So we get 2 gallons of fluid in the system. That should work out good. Getting excited, just trying to make sure I don't forget anything. We got the rear end jacked up and braced. But yeah, we had to make some little brackets and had to cut out here so it would fit up pretty stock. I missed, whoa, hi, how you doing? I missed the, my mark wasn't quite good here, so I put the clamp down here to be a buffer by that so it wouldn't rub, and everything's nice and got some flexibility, very little hose. So we're going to go ahead and pull the relay. We just hooked up the battery. 16 days, I believe, since I hooked up the battery or disconnected it. So pretty crazy. Fuel pump relay. Where is that one? Nope. The big dude right here, right above daylight running lights. Close. So that guy right there will pull him out, and that way we're not getting any fuel to the system. We're just we're not don't have any spark either. We're just turning it, freewheeling it, turning it over. Alrighty, everybody, it is now time to crank up the or crank over this Suburban and just get the fluids where they need to be. We're going to check for oil pressure. We're going to try to bleed the power steering pump since it's been disassembled, and then we'll top off more coolant, and we'll top off more transmission fluid. We're going to spin over maybe 2 or 3 times before we put the spark plugs in, and then we'll do the official start. Now since it's been unplugged, we've unplugged and plugged everything. We'll see if it cranks over. So I'm going to put the windows down here, and I'll give you a listen to this. Oh, it unlocks by itself. Wow. The lights are on. Oh! Ignition! Oh, that's exciting. I gotta climb in here. Alright, so we're just gonna spin it over a couple times. AC off. Got the radio flashing at me. 252,979 miles. No fuel pump. Alright. Watch an oil gauge. I don't see any oil pressure yet. That could be because we have no spark plugs. Alright. Seems like the should have got oil pressure reading on that. Sticking her in neutral and see if we can crank it up. Oh, there's the air ride. Alright, gonna crank it over again. Hello, camera. So had a little bit of a scare, a little bit of uncertainty. Just that when I cranked it over a couple times, well, it looks like you're on the Batman set there. There we go. Anyways, I pulled the fuel pump relay, and when I would start it, no oil pressure movement whatsoever. So I'm messaging back with Brian to see what he thinks, and he mentioned run the he would run his truck when he got home without the fuel pump relay, see what it did. I thought, well, duh, stupid me. I can do that with the work truck. So took the fuel pump fuel pump relay out of the work truck, and no fuel pressure reading. So, or no oil pressure reading. Sorry. Now, it probably would have been a good idea if I had thought a little bit ahead to set up a manual oil pressure reading. But I did not. So what I did read real quick though, we already primed the pump, slowly cranking it, and then we had our little pump, and you'll see that in the videos, and I poured oil into it before, I think I turned it too, if I remember correctly. I don't remember that for sure, but you want to have oil in that pump before. You don't want to stick it on dry and then leave it dry. It's just a bad thing. So I poured oil when I put the oil pan on and the oil pickup tube, and I believe I cranked it then, and then you saw we did the galley port where we used our pump and we pumped into the system, slowly rotating it. So with that little bit of knowledge, theoretically we should be fine, but I'm going to go ahead and do a couple more little short bursts. They said do like 10-second intervals to get it primed, so we'll go ahead and try that real quick, and just to make sure. And I'm going to start putting the spark plugs in, and we'll see if we can get it cranked up. I'm putting the spark plugs in. We'll put the fuel relay back in, hook up the plug wires, and this is either going to be a great success or a very expensive failure. So we'll catch up and let you know what it is.